Hi everybody, welcome to our talk tonight. Tonight we have Bradley Stone talking about open source and our friendly UQCSbot. Without any further ado, Bradley, take it away.
Right, so hi everyone. This is, as mentioned, about UQCSbot and open source. UQCS has a lot of projects that are open source, the most obvious one being the bot. Our website is also on the GitHub. And various other things. I think there's a cookbook in there somewhere, which I don't think has been contributed to in several years, but yeah, so we've got a few projects, and if you haven't seen it yet, or if you haven't seen UQCSbot do anything, then I'll be very surprised. For example, one thing it does is pings people each day at 5 p.m., which is just done now, and and it's got a whole bunch of other features which have all been created by UQCS members, and you, if you feel so inclined, can also add to it. The first example I'm going to do for a demo on how to modify it is, so Emojify is a feature and it converts text to emojis in the Slack. But if we look at emoji request, one other thing the bot does is it logs new emojis as they're added, and at some point somebody added an Netflix N. And so that can be added to the Emojify command. So let's do that now, amongst other letters. So if you don't know much about Git, then the easiest way to use GitHub is to download the GitHub desktop. If you want to learn more about GitHub, then UQCS may or may not be having a talk about the more advanced features, but for the basic features you need to update UQCSbot, you can just use GitHub desktop. So you'll need to create an account, then you'll need to clone a repository. So I've already done that, but to do that, you would need to go to here and get this address and plug it in here, I assume. Well, yeah, in here, and then it will clone it, and then you will have all the files on your computer. So in here, in the UQCSbot folder, in the scripts folder, you'll see one file more or less for each function that UQCS does. And so we want to go to the Emojify and edit it, which I've got here. And so, as I said, we want to update the Netflix N, which we can do by just adding it there. There's also a whole bunch of other emojis that have been added since this was last updated in October, including, this is very exciting watching me paste things. And did I do that correctly? Yeah, I need this colons. Unfortunately, these parts down here are currently useless because of the way the Slack bot works. It automatically converts various letters to various letters. I'm not actually sure if that will work, but let's find out. Right, and this should be the last one. And I've now saved that with all the changes, and then you should see, if you go back here, you'll see that now GitHub Desktop recognizes all the changes. And so to get this on the, to get this actually working in the bot, you need to commit it. And then, so that will save your changes to, well, it's locally more or less in GitHub. Then push it, which will save it on the branch. Whoops. I forgot to branch this. This should hopefully fail. Well, that shouldn't have happened. That won't happen unless you're an admin, but what I was supposed to do was create a new branch, call it Emojify, and call it Emojify, and then push it, and then create a pull request. So, so what So the easiest way would be to revert this. Right, so hopefully that oh, god damn it. Right, so I need to revert that on the master branch. Even then that won't work because things have recently changed with the testing. Right, so now if I go to Emojify and And so there's a bunch of tests that actually I'll just this is not going the way I thought it would go. Anyway, so now that that has been pushed, I should be able to create a pull request. Should come up at some point. That's not working, so time to do it manually. So what clicking the pull request button in the GitHub desktop should do is bring this up, and then I can say updating Hugify to add newly added Slack emoji, and then I can create a pull request. And so the pull request, once approved, will merge all my changes from the Emojify branch into the master branch. And so the GitHub runs Jenkins, which is an automated testing suite, and so should test my changes and hopefully, but probably not, say that everything's going fine. So eventually this should change from amber to either red or green, depending on if my tests are successful or not. Right, so that's a change. So hopefully it should be testing at the moment. So we should see results soon. Oh, it opened my pull request in a new window because that makes perfect sense. Right, so it's failed, and I hope I know why. I can go see the console output, and it is yep, it's because of the newly updated Plague 8. So Plague 8 is a style checker, and it thinks I've styled it wrong because it's got errors apparently. But anyway, so I believe the way we deal with that is to just ignore those errors, which somebody else, a previous person already found the wording. So then back here, recommit it. Re-push it. And then it will automatically rerun the Jenkins tests. So hopefully this time it won't take nearly as long. Welcome to the fun of live demos. Huzzah, it's passed now, so I'm going to, technically I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to anyway. I'm going to squash it and, well, since the point of pull requests is so that somebody else can check your work and then see if anything needs to be changed, but because I'm doing a live demo, I'm just going to approve my own request, which I shouldn't do, but I'm doing it anyway. And then you'll see in bot testing. So I made the pull request, and I've merged the pull request. So it should eventually come up with more things, but and so this is a common mistake. People always try and, well, a lot of people see the pull request merged message and think that that means it's now active, but you have to wait for it to deploy. And when I say people always, that's not good. When I say people always wait or forget to wait for it to deploy, that includes me frequently. What's wrong with this one? Right. That's, I think, somebody else's error, but let me check that. Once again, the joys of live demos. Test defense is, right. I know I probably shouldn't do it in Notepad because reasons, but right. You can put in better descriptions of what you're changing, but that works, I guess. And then this means I'm gonna need to no, this again. All right, so hopefully I'm doing this correctly, but I guess we'll find out. Huzzah! And once again, I'm going to squash and merge this because I'm cheating. I'm going to squash and merge my own one. And once again, it gets posted to bot testing. Right, so that was 2 minutes. So I guess we're waiting another 2 minutes. That's good. And there we go. So now if I go emojify, I get a few Netflix ends, so this has successfully worked. And if I copy Moo's message, you'll notice that emojify, since there wasn't originally an apostrophe, it got replaced with a grey question mark. But now if I do this, it's a proper simple huzzah. So this demo was only supposed to take 10 minutes. It was supposed to be the fast introduction, but things obviously didn't go as planned, as is tradition with live demos. So let's try something more complicated, a new feature. So what I want to do is, what am I looking for? Right, so there's a board game called Twilight Imperium, and it's got a bunch of factions, and each faction has a race sheet with a bunch of lore, and one of the factions has this as their lore sheet, and you'll notice here a bunch of binary, which probably has some ASCII translation. And so I would like to create a feature for UQCSbot that converts binary to ASCII, and vice versa. So the easy thing to do if you want to create a new feature is find some feature that's similar to it and copy it. So probably the closest feature that UQCSbot already has is Caesar cipher. So let's just copy the Caesar cipher file and rename it to ASCII-fy. And edit it. And don't need this anymore. So this is the basic syntax of a function. Actually, no, that's a terrible example. Let's not do that because that's an old thing. So what else would there be that's similar? Oh, first of all, let's switch branches to this, which is what I should have done first last time. Is there anything else similar? Oh, sure, let's use mock. Right, so this is the thing I was looking for. This decorator here. So this is this decorator here means that every time it sees bots, when the bot sees mock run this function. So that's what that decorator does, and we don't need any of this for the moment. And we don't need random, but we do need that. So since we're converting this to ASCII, we need to change this to ASCII, which means that that is now, when it sees ASCII, this should be ASCII. And then this here, if we go to the Slack and I go help, then I'll get a private message from the bot, which will say, where is mock? Mock, there it is. So you'll see that that message there is, wait, whoops. I realized I was in the wrong thing. Right. Here we go. So if I type help in the right one, then I'll get a message from the bot saying, yep, here we go. This here, which you'll notice is the exact same text as this here. So this is the help text. So once again, we want this ASCII, and I'm going to make it go in both directions. So you can type in some binary and it will convert it to ASCII, or you can type in some ASCII and it will convert it to binary to ASCII or ASCII to binary. So converts a binary string to an ASCII string or vice versa. Right. Anyway, so then, what do we need here? This seems useful. This doesn't seem useful. So the input to this function is command, which is of type command. So, and command has a function called hasArgument, which is if there's anything there. So I'm just gonna, what do I need? Right. Yes. So let's just comment this out for now. So then reply equals, please include string to to convert. And so UQCS has both the normal Slack and it's also got a testing Slack. And you are able to run your current branch on the testing Slack, and it should, or yeah, that's a way of testing what your code, which I didn't do for the previous one because it was barely any changes. So, and to do that, you go. I think the command is, or at least one version of the command is in. Yep, that. Wait. Oh, it's not actually. Oh yeah, there it is. So run that, and you and wait a few seconds. And so there are 4 bots, but I'm currently missing the alpha in here, but eventually things should happen. Welcome to 50% contributing to open source, 50% waiting for things to happen with Bradley Stone. Right, if I cancelled that because nothing was happening, let's see if it works this time. Right, so that's a good sign, and then there should be a bit more. Right, and there we go. You can now see UQCSbot Gamma is online, and that's one of the test bots. If there are multiple people testing at some time, then each of them will be assigned a different one. And so now I can just test something normal, such as cat, which is everybody's favorite test command, and you'll see get that. So now if I go askify without anything, actually no, this won't work because interesting. What has caused that? Is there already? What did my ask? Oh, right. That's why, because there's already a function called askify. God damn it. In which case, I will rename this binify. And also something I forgot to include was this part here. Actually, no. Those should probably be the same, otherwise I'll get an error. Then I need to reset this. And you can see there it wasn't correct, so rerun this. And yep, that's back online, so now I should be able to run binify. And it will tell me that there's nothing to convert. So that's something decent. Then if I go binify something, it's going to crash because it won't run this, but then response isn't initialized. So then else. So I've got two options. If it's binary or if it's ASCII. So actually elif set command.arg subset 0, 1. Actually, that would be 0, 1. Response equals. This is debug is binary. Else response equals debug is ASCII. And I don't think I need any of that, so once again, reset the bot. Wait, is that correct? And this should be is subset. So then I'll need to save that and reset the bot. Otherwise that would have just crashed. And binify this, wait for the bot to come online. There we go. That's good. That. And it's wonderful. All this is working out so far. So then what next is if it's binary, we want we want to convert it character or byte by byte. So response. And if one thing we need to bear in mind is that if it's not a multiple of 8 bytes, it won't work out. So if command.arg, actually lang command.arg mod 8 not equal 0, response equals binary string is not string contains partial byte. Else for I in range 0 lang command.arg 8. We want a default response equals, or an empty response. And also all ASCII characters should be between 0 and 128. So if dot arg I plus 8 or actually no. All right, so I need to convert this to binaries. So, right, so n equals int command dot arg I to I plus 8 2, which is in binary. Then if n greater than or equal to 128, response equals so this should hopefully deal with all our binary strings. So unify, what do I want? 0, 1. If my knowledge of ASCII is correct, this should be A. Yep, wonderful. Unify, and same thing, but that should be AB. Unify, this should be lowercase a. So that's all working, then unify that. This should be an error. Interesting. All right, so what does this say? Right. Right, that's because I spelled that incorrectly. Fun. This should bring up an error. And then binify. This should also bring up an error because it's out of range. So that half works. Then for the other half, which is much, much easier. So this will interesting comment. Anyway, so this will be similar to the internal part, response of the port, as in this, but in reverse. Response equals that for because we can be slightly lazier here and just go in command.arg. What do we then need to do? N equals odd, is it? Yeah, that's the odd C if n greater than or equal to 128. This again. Otherwise, response plus equals in n. Actually, that's not quite right. That will, if I do a low character, that will miss out on the first things. So let's use some F strings, which should be F n, which is use the value of n, have leading zeros, pad it to 8 characters, and do it in binary. So let's see how this does. That looks correct. Unify capital A. And that's all looking good. Then if I try a non-ASCII character, right, no, that's, oh right, because that converts it, because reasons. And if I go bin, so that bin, so that's, yeah, Slack internally converts that, or something internally converts that to the S character, as you can see there. Then if I try this, binify cafe, that also gets converted. What's is there anything that won't convert? Actually, all right, let's try this. Why Slack? That is going to be something P related. That's wildly annoying. Oh, then it appears that that Slack converts pretty much everything, so that doesn't seem like it's going to be useful. So we can hope that that works for now. But anyway, so back to this where we all started. This here. Where was I? So hopefully I will be able to decode this. So I'll just, and so wrong one. Have I? Whoops. Where do I do that? How's that? All right. So how long ago did I stop screen sharing? All right. Anyway, so just to recap, so this string here, I ran it through here and got that, which is very appropriate for the necrovirus. So that brings me to the next part, which is tests. So I've tested this and I believe it works, but I need to be able to prove that and also make sure that I know in the future if anything goes terribly wrong that somebody knows about it. So what you want to do is in this folder is a bunch of tests which test things, and so similar to the other things, you want to find something and duplicate it is probably the easiest way, if only to get the template. So these are all unit tests. So what is it? Binify. And you'll see it will be a similar structure to other things. So it's got a message there, and a constant there, which we can delete. So then we can start making our own tests. So the first one will be what I just did there, which will be test binify from binary. So test binify for a binary string input. So what did I have? So let's actually use a constant. So string equals this, and how many characters is that? That's going to be too long. I will probably need to cut it here. Cut it there. Cut it there. That. Right, and then can ignore all the. That doesn't look good, but I will. Binary string, ASCII string equals that. No. ASCII string. So hidden in the backend, there's a secret test channel, and so this here will post this in that channel, then wait for a response and check that there's actually two messages, which should be actually I will need binify plus that. So post that, check that there's two messages, which will be this one and the response, and then check that the text is correct. So this will so then there's another thing you can use to run the tests, which is this, and then this is going to run through all the tests, which is going to take a while because there's a lot of texts. things are happening slowly. Right. Oh, and my test failed. But you can see it's actually running through all the tests in this folder one by one, which is good to know in case you break somebody else's test. And then we have to wait for all the tests to see what actually went wrong, which, there we go, that was a bunch of them. Right. Damn it, what did I do wrong? Yep, I forgot to define messages, which I probably deleted something important from the one I copied. Right, yep, this seems useful. Right, and then go back here and rerun it, and hopefully it will be faster this time. Huzzah, my test passed. And so while that continues to run, I will create a second test, which will be the exact opposite. So from ASCII, and then that we can swap those. And actually, no, I will from random import choice. So hopefully this will do the same thing, and then what I should be able to do, it should be, and the testing will do more stuff on the side, so you can see that there. But I'll ignore that for now, but I'll come back to it. Click test identify. A row returns original string, so message equals choice for I in range, say 32. So this should create a 32 length random string, and this should be message. Response equals response equals this. And response this again, and another test we want to do is that be test binify out of range for the code 128 plus binify plus, let's go 11110000, what should do. And what should this be? This should be our error message, which is this. And the final one will be incomplete for partial byte. Let's go 100101 0, that should do. And then actually no, we have 2 more tests. This, I'm probably doing an excessive number of tests, but no. And let's see how many of these tests I got right. Though this might be an excessive number of tests, it's important to note, well, test negative, or things that you expect to go wrong as well as things you expect to go right, which is useful for keeping things correct. That was a terrible sentence. Oh yeah, so these tests test that things go right. These tests test when things go wrong. And so this is what I'm least confident about, so let's see if it works. It does not. Wonderful. So let's see what I did wrong with this one. Meanwhile, I'm going to update this slightly, so this isn't running, but if I was to do something like, yeah, if I were to try something like binify 0, what I would probably hope for is to get the ASCII code. This isn't currently running, so it won't return anything, but so I probably want to get the ASCII code, which is 30 in hex, which would be whatever that is in 00110000, but instead that will just bring up the error that I'm missing, or I've got an incomplete byte. So what I'll do to fix that is and lang command .arg greater than 2, so that should also allow me to do unify 0, 1. Anything more than that, it's not going to work. It will bring up the error message, but right, anyway, so now we've got this. Right. Interesting. So that is right, because I forgot to post the message or the original message. Yeah. Plus message. Let's see if this works now. Yeah, so I'm using the default idle because this is supposed to be a very basic introduction, which is why I'm also using GitHub Desktop. You can use whatever editor you want. This is, or if you've got Python, then you've almost certainly got idle. So yeah, this is just a bare bones, what you already have on your computer demo. And it's still failing. Right, because interesting. Right, because this should be dot join all of this, because otherwise it will be a list. And let's see if this finally works. Right, that's fine for now. And here we go, and it's passed, which should hopefully bring me to the next section, which is styling, once all this goes through. There are shortcuts for testing particular things, but I will not go through that today. You can, if that's beyond the scope of this presentation. Oh, and there's another thing I forgot that I'll get to later, but let's do this for now. So now this is running Flake 8, and which is a style checker, and it has found some style violations. So it is on line 3. It expected 2 lines, but found 1, so I need to add a blank line there. It doesn't like this comment, so I'll just delete it. It wants more spaces, but just deleting it works fine. Line 12 is wants space around the operator, and line 30 is this one. It's got too much white space, by which I mean any amount of white space. Anyway, so the thing I forgot about, which I'll get to now, is, and also I'll just go back to this. So binify 0 now works. Anyway, so if I go binify, so the thing I needed to get back to was this, binify ampersand is going to give me this, which you can see is more than one character. And if I do it in reverse, binify this, I'm probably going to get ampersand amp semicolon. All right, then if I, interesting. So I'm fairly sure that would be, actually, that, yeah, I'm fairly sure that would be ampersand amp, because, oh, and similarly, if I do binify that and binify that, I'm going to get, that it's probably not going to work, but yeah, so that would probably be ampersand less than, and if I did that correctly, binify that, that would be ampersand GT, and that's because Slack internally converts them. So one way, also the easiest way is just to do here dot replace amp actually it would be amp semicolon dot replace less than semicolon with less than dot replace amp greater than semicolon with greater than. Now if I rerun this, and go back here, unify I get that, which looks correct to me at least. It seems to be about 24 characters, which is what it should be. So now that's fixed. Anyway, so then back to the testing and the styling. So rerunning this, it will then run through everything again. And yeah, so for what it's worth, if you look at Tox, it will just have a bunch of commands, which it basically runs these in order. So you could just, run the ones you want. For example, I know that, I know that it's passing the test, so I don't need to run the test. So I could but it was stopping here last time, so I could just run this and so on. And, manually, but I'm just going to run it. Run it all because why not? Oops. This and this. One thing I didn't get to is typing, which isn't, you'll see that like normally you'll just, if you're doing CSC 1001, you'll just have that, but it's adding, typing is adding that, and it makes sure that it ensures that you're passing the correct types to your functions. Since this is just its own function, it doesn't have, it's not calling subfunction, so it doesn't have any typing displayed. But if I were to do something like, say, weather, you would see that it's got strings and it's got a return value. And you'll see up here typing, you'll need some imports. And so if you get your typing wrong, then MyPy will complain. It's not styling, so it's not to do with Flake, but it will, MyPy will be the one that will complain. And so you can see like strings and tuples of strings. Union means that like this will return none if something goes wrong. Otherwise, it will return that which is imported. And so that's how things in general work. But anyway, back to the wonderful. So I was expecting to have some errors with some styling errors with here, but I don't have any. So that's that, which means I can go on to the last part, which is actually actually committing it. So I'm just going to keep the branches. Actually, can I rename the branch to binify, and then publish the branch. Is there any reason that won't let me do that? Right, why would that not? All right, so because I'm changing more than one file, I actually have to make a description. So let's call this interesting. Did I forget to rename that? Yes, I did. So this should be Binify. And so in response to Nick's question in the chat, you can see here that weather works perfectly well. There's absolutely no problems whatsoever with it. Anyway, so my summary will be create Binify command. So commit that, push it. And then so new pull request. And one good thing to do with when you're creating your pull requests is to give examples. So where am I? I am here. Damn it. Whoops. I think I just stopped screen sharing for a moment because the stop screen share button is right up the top of my screen. Anyway, so this is running. So let's do this as an example. Try this. Actually, no. Why is there a line break there? Unify. Can I do that without the line break? Or is it just because it's one word and it doesn't want line breaks? Yeah, I think it's just one word. And then do the opposite, is unify this. That changed channel. And just get rid of that red line. Right, so the branch is Binify and do that. And you can see the files I've changed, which is to create 2 files. And because I'm feeling, because I'm feeling lazy, I'm just going to copy the help text as the description. Where was I? So if I just paste that, it will automatically upload it, and then I can do that. And something I can also show is if I go help in here. And for this one, I'm actually going to wait for somebody to approve my pull request instead of doing it myself. So good. So then we should see up here, Binify, binary or ASCII, converts a binary string to an ASCII string or vice versa. And now we wait. I hope if Nick's watching, he'll be the, well, or at least there should be several people in committee watching, because at least, well, I know that, yeah, I know that James is listening because he's co-hosting. yeah, you'll occasionally get comments such as if you've got bad names for variables, then those will often be ridiculed, especially if you used too many abbreviations. Yeah, other such things. So uh, what range of reactions do I have? Yeah, that will do. And it appears to have successfully passed all the tests. So the tests are like the tests I wrote just then in here. Jenkins also runs those tests, and it also basically runs tox, or the complete tox commands, including the styling. So if you've got styling errors, Jenkins will reject you. And now you just wait for somebody to merge it. Somebody other than me this time. Huzzah, it's been approved by somebody. So that's about wraps it up for tonight. I'll just wait for it to deploy. But so if you want to know how to do something, the easiest way, as I said, is to find something that's similar to what you want to do. For example, if you want to know how to add reactions to something, you can look at voted thumbs, which will use a command to do so. That's not a great example because of uses partial, but if you know what you're doing, then you can do that. Also, there would be emoji log also does it. So it be that's the syntax for adding emoji reacts to a post, which does anything else do that? So yeah, look for something that's similar to what you need to do. Otherwise, there's the Slack API guide, which will then show various things. So once this loads, right? So yeah, you can see there it's the same thing as before, which was what was it? bot.api.reactions.add. You can see here that it is the same as before, just the reactions.add. You need to put the bot.api in front of it, but then you can see once this loads, there's that, which means that this doesn't come up in help when you because it's not an actual function, so it doesn't really make sense to have it. You can see the arguments. So token, which is something in build, then channel, which is channel. Timestamp is name is the name of the emoji, and timestamp. So that's how you figure out what you need to use for the API. And I think that's it for now. And Interesting. And so as you can see from Jenna, this appears to be working. And yep, I think that's all for tonight, unless anybody has any questions. But other than that, I think that can wrap it up because it's gone for 40 minutes longer than I thought it would.
Alright, thank you so much, Bradley, for that. Well, it did go for a bit longer. I hope everybody learned something. As Bradley mentioned, we do have a bunch of GitHub repositories at github.com/UQ Computing Society, as well as our UQCSbot. We've also got our cookbook, which is neglected and would love some attention. If you're looking for something that you could potentially start with the UQCSbot, under the issues, we have a few good first issues ones that you could get started with. But yeah, looking ahead, we are planning on starting a new UQCS initiative where we will be sharing some of our favourite open source repositories, so keep a lookout for that. Also, if you're interested in competitive programming and algorithm practice, we currently have an expression of interest that was sent out yesterday on our social channels and in this week's email newsletter, so make sure you check that out. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.